I had had surgeries before, but I hadn't had this happen before. So I thought, well, I wonder if I died down there on the operating table. But then my next thought literally was, well, if I had died, then why am I here? Because I was an atheist, my parents had told me that I would end up somewhere else, not anything like this.
In 2014, Nancy Rynes underwent 2 life-changing near-death experiences. The first happened during a terrible road accident when Nancy's bicycle was run over by a driver in an SUV. Her second, more lengthy NDE, came days later during surgery to repair her traumatized spine.
Like, I didn't want to come back, even though I have family here. I knew everybody would be okay without me, but I really wanted to stay there. It was really hard to come back. But she said, you've already agreed to do this. You've already agreed to have this teaching, have this knowledge, this experience, and then go back and make your life one that would be worthwhile, that would be worth living. Toward the end of 2013, I started having little inklings that things were about to shift. And of course, I didn't put a lot of stock in them because I didn't believe that they meant anything. But I was having a lot of dreams of butterflies and things that were coming up that might be changing. But again, I didn't really have a lot of concrete evidence. So I just put it off to the side and didn't think about it too hard. Over Christmas that year, between Christmas and New Year's Day, I took off a week from work. And so I decided to go out and do my errands and then go on a little bike path near my house. Before I set out, I had everything ready to go. I had my bike out, I put air in the tires, and there was a little voice inside of me that said, you really should go back in the house right now and just go biking on a different day. And having no evidence for why that even came up in my mind, I just ignored it. And within half a mile of my house, there was a new traffic circle around, we call them roundabouts. And there was no one else in the traffic circle, but I did see some people coming in from another road. As I'm biking up to where they're coming in, I noticed that that first vehicle, which is a very large sport utility vehicle, wasn't stopping. And in fact, she looked to be accelerating kind of at the last minute. I had nowhere to go. And she hit me broadside on my right-hand side. I don't remember how I ended up on top of her vehicle, but I did. And as soon as I landed up there, that's when I start remember everything. And I looked into her windshield and she's got the phone up on top of the steering wheel as she's driving, and she's not even seeing me 2 feet in front of her on her hood. So I can't hang on to the hood of her car anymore, and I start slipping down over the grill and hit the pavement between her front tires. When I hit the pavement, though, that's when things got a little unusual. I all of a sudden noticed that my consciousness was in 2 places at once, 2 completely separate places. And all the years of schooling that I've had in the sciences never told me that this was even a possibility. So they missed the boat on this one. I was experiencing the accident both from within my body and also outside of my body. And the 2 aspects of me were very different. The part of my consciousness that was still in my body was quite primal. It was very concerned about survival. It was very scared, actually terrified. It was trying to figure out a way to survive this. However, the part of me that was propelled outside was standing alongside all of this. And that part of me was very calm and peaceful and almost full of love for what was going on, which was very freaky at that time. Like, who is this person? That part of me that was outside of me would be what I would call now my soul consciousness. And it was trying to explain to my human self, my human body, don't worry, this is going to be fine. Everything is okay. It's happening just as it should. You'll be fine at the very end. Even though it's painful now, everything's going to be fine. That human part of me, the primal part, couldn't believe that that would be the case because this was so traumatic and dramatic. That kind of split consciousness lasted until the paramedics arrived. The way that I survived the accident, because this woman still didn't know that she had hit me, and I'm on the ground now under her vehicle. I had reached up, like with my right hand, and grabbed onto her vehicle. And because of the way that she was turning, if I didn't do something dramatic to save myself, her back wheels were going to run over me. So I reached up to grab onto the axle. I was hanging on like this with kind of a death grip. So I was being dragged by the chest strap along here, and also because I was hanging on. The other people in the other car saw what happened, and the guy that was driving, he was driving a small pickup truck behind this woman, drove around the traffic circle in the wrong direction to kind of stop her. And she stopped because he was blocking her way. And that was really the only reason why she stopped, was because he blocked her way. So when she stopped, that primal instinct took over my body, and I tried to wiggle out from underneath the vehicle. A woman ran up from I don't even know where and put her hands on my shoulders and told me just to stay down. And she said she was a nurse and she was going to stay with me until help came and they got me to the ER. So she put her hands on my shoulders and just kept me calm. And her doing that really probably saved my life. I'm still super grateful to her, whoever she was. I wanted to thank her in person, and the district attorney's office couldn't ever find her. If she hadn't done that, I probably would have died because I had such massive trauma to my neck and my back. Likely my neck would have snapped right below my skull, and that would have been fatal. So the paramedics did arrive, and when they arrived, that's when those two parts of my consciousness merged back together. And they brought me to the ER, which was, luckily for me, not too far away. So I had well over 100 different fractures in my body. A particular bone might be fractured 5 times in different ways. So it wasn't just a clean, simple bone breaks here. These were very complicated things. I still had feeling and the ability to wiggle my toes. So I had retained most of my mobility and most of my feeling. I'd lost a little tiny bit, but not much. So there was still hope that I could walk. They took me into surgery a couple of days later, once I had stabilized enough to have surgery. They were going to put some titanium rods in my back so that I could heal properly and still be mobile while I was healing. What ended up happening is when I went into surgery and they gave me the anesthetic, I actually died for about 2 minutes or so on the operating table. I had some kind of a reaction to the anesthetic. They're still not sure what happened. And I felt like I woke up. I was fully aware of what was going on. There was no cloudiness or anything as far as my memory. And I felt like I woke up standing up on a hillside with this beautiful meadow all around me, and there were trees in the distance, these beautiful trees. There was a mountain valley in front of me with mountains and mist and this beautiful, brilliant blue sky. And at first I thought, okay, this is weird. I haven't had anything like this happen in surgery before. I had had surgeries before, but I hadn't had this happen before. So I thought, well, I wonder if I died down there on the operating table. But then my next thought literally was, well, if I had died, then why am I here? Because I was an atheist, my parents had told me that I would end up somewhere else, not anything like this. So I began to wonder what was going on and why I was here. And I started feeling these, what could only be described as waves of love and acceptance coming from around me. There was a welcoming, almost a welcoming home. And there was that message of welcome. There was that message in response to my question of why am I here? And the answer was, this is your home. Welcome home. You are a part of me, meaning divine. You're a part of the divine. You're my child. Welcome home. And I just couldn't imagine a love that big. It was so all-encompassing and so amazing. And I couldn't believe it because I had never experienced acceptance like that or love like that before. It took me a while to really fully embrace that welcome. I didn't feel like I deserved it. I didn't feel like it was for me. I was still thinking it was for someone else. There was what appeared to be a woman came up kind of from my right-hand side and introduced herself as a teacher, someone who would teach me what I needed to know in order to make my life better, meaning my life on earth better. Also, to be able to share that love with others. So basically, I was being asked to learn how to love, truly love, learn how to live an aligned way with spirit, with God, and then just come back to my life on earth and just be that as much as possible. Like, I didn't want to come back, even though I have family here. I knew everybody would be okay without me, but I really wanted to stay there. It was really hard to come back. But she said, you've already agreed to do this. You've already agreed to have this teaching, have this knowledge, this experience, and then go back and make your life one that would be worthwhile, that would be worth living. And I didn't believe her. And so I had one of those movie moments where in front of me, kind of in the air, she put up what we would call a video, but there was a visual remembering of her watching me agree to certain things I wanted to do and experience in this life as me. And as soon as that thing popped up in front of me, I remembered it, fully remembered it throughout my entire heart, through my body. It was like, oh yeah, I guess I did, didn't I? I remember that now. A lot of it was just remembering what I needed to remember in order to come back into this life. To me, it felt like about a 2-month odyssey, even though in surgical time, it was probably only a couple of minutes. There were some really amazing teachings that I do want to mention. And the first was really how connected we all are and how even the smallest interaction that we have with someone can be very important for that other person. And the way that she taught me this was the typical life review. Mine was a little bit unusual, but still it was a life review. And I was able to see different incidents in my life, both positive and negative, where I had interacted with someone or maybe a group of people. But it was showing me my interactions in this particular life up until that point. And I got to see like a multi-dimensional view of that particular incident. So I could see it from my removed soul level self that I was in during the NDEs. I was looking at it from the outside. Then I could also experience it as me in that time and remember and feel and think everything that I was thinking and feeling at the time. But I also, over the top of all of that, was able to see and feel and experience all of the thoughts and feelings of that other person. So for an example, there was a time when I was a bit of a jerk to my younger sister. When I was a teen, that was one of the incidents that I saw. And I just wanted to say something nasty to her because she was, to me, in my mind at that time, being annoying. Today, I wouldn't even know what that means, but back then it felt annoying. And when I said this nasty thing to her to kind of drive her off, in that life review, I felt her pain at my words. And it still chokes me up. It's so powerful to feel how you impact someone else directly from their own feelings and their own thoughts. And she was so hurt, and she felt so betrayed by what I said. I think it stayed with her for a very, very long time. And immediately when I saw that and experienced it, the 360 view, I wanted to go back and try to make things right with her. It was immediate. I need to do something about this. This isn't right. I feel ashamed that I did this. The point of it wasn't external judgment. I was judging myself. And I held myself to a very high standard, because when you have that awareness that your words, your actions, whether they're good or bad, positive or negative, how much you can impact someone else, that is truly life-altering. That one bit of this NDE, well, so much other stuff happened, and I learned so much about love and connection and gratitude and showing up as best as we can in any situation. The life review was probably the most transformative part of this experience for me. It's still there with me all the time, and it makes me very conscious in every moment of what I'm saying, how I'm acting with people, how I'm helping people, what my energy is, what I'm bringing to the other person in my attitude, not just in my words, but in my attitude. So that life review was really exceedingly transformative. The other part that really was transformative was the immense power of gratitude. Gratitude is really simply, at its most simple, another form of love. It's deep appreciation. During those times when we are just in deep gratitude, real deep gratitude, and feel it and express it, we are so aligned with that divine love, with that divine essence. It's almost more aligned than in any other time. And that's why, when people ask me, well, what can I do to really feel my deeper connection to God or the divine presence? It's to really and truly allow yourself to feel and practice gratitude. It can take a while to get used to it because we're not really encouraged to do that. But I encourage people to just spend a moment and really feel it. And if it involves someone else, then deeply express it in an honest and forthcoming way and just say, I am so grateful for you in my life. I'm so grateful that you did this thing for me because it really helped me overcome this challenge that I had. We need to get past this fear that some people have about expressing these things, because these forms of expression, especially when they're genuine from the heart, really bond us. They bring us together, even if we're in different countries, if we're different religious affiliations, if we're different political parties. Love transforms everyone, and love transcends all of these fake divisions that we have here on this planet. So after she finally sent me back, to my body, and that was jarring because I woke up in the recovery room not happy. I was not happy to be, even though I went through all of this and I knew that I was doing it for a reason, I was still hoping that I could stay there. And when I woke up in the recovery room, I thought, oh no, I'm back to earth again. I felt that separation from God, from my teacher, and it was hard for the first little bit. It took me a good couple of weeks to get out of the hospital, but I was so grateful to be alive and that I could walk that I started to focus on that. That's when my gratitude practice started, when I was laying on my back in the hospital room, recovering from all this. And that gratitude that I had just for being alive and being able to feel my feet and being able to walk and take care of myself again, that was the beginning of the transformation of this me, not just my soul, but this life that I have here now as Nancy.